What's up, everybody? Your boy Pat back again with another edition of Patrick Unplugged. Today's topic of the day is comparing the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus to the Galaxy Tab S7 Fan Edition.
This is a Heat Rocks production.
Now, before we get into it, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell as it helps out the channel. So these are two different tablets, but very much the same. On the left, we have the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 Plus, and on the right, we have the Samsung Tab S7 Fan Edition. So let's look really quickly around both of these units so we can see some of the differences, some of the similarities. We'll do a size test right now to see if anything looks different to the naked eye. Of course, we will talk about the actual specs in a minute. So if you look on the top, these are pretty much identical. The only thing is that speaker looks like it's a little bit moved, but you got the power button on both of them, the volume up and down rocker. You have your SIM tray there. On the right side, very similar, but very different. You have speaker grills, you have the power cord right there that charges. However, the S7 Plus has 4. So you'll see 2 here and 2 on the other side in a bit. And the S7 the Fan Edition has 2. So one's got quad speakers, one's got just stereo speakers. On the bottom, here's all the magnets that are gonna let you attach to a keyboard. They're all the same. You do see the antennas right here. Both have antennas there. On the left side, as I said, you can see the antennas. You can see actually the S7 Plus has more antenna bars here than the S7 FE here on the top. So maybe that's the difference, maybe it's not. In the real world, we'll have to do more testing, but going along with those speakers again, you have 2 on the S7 Plus and then only 1 on each side on the S7 Fan Edition. On the back, similar but different. AKG speakers, you can see both of them have that. They both have a camera. They both have these antennas. As you can see again, antenna bars here, the same. And then the S7 Plus has an extra set of antennas. They don't have it on the Fan Edition. Both have Samsung Galaxy branding. And then here's where your pen goes, your stylus goes right here. That's where it actually charges. So you can see on the Galaxy S7 Plus, goes right there. It's a magnet, it doesn't fall. But here, there's no like cutout or charging strip like here, but it is there. It is the same thing there on the Fan Edition. It's just a little difference of aesthetics there. And then on the cameras, you can see they're a little bit different, and we'll talk about this in a minute. The S7 Plus is being powered by a Snapdragon 865 Plus processor. The S7 Fan Edition is being powered by a Snapdragon 750G processor. The cost of these are very similar, so it's gonna be up to you to decide if you actually like the features of one that make it justifiable for the price. Right now in 2023, the S7 Plus, the base model is going for $529 US for the 128 gigs. And the S7 Fan Edition is going for $429 for the base model 64 gigs. So $100 difference. Color wise, you got S7 Plus, black, silver, and bronze. The Fan Edition, black, silver, pink, and green. I have the black one here and I have the pink one here. When we talk about screen size, they're both here a 12.4 inch Super AMOLED on the left, LCD on the right, 120 Hertz versus 60 Hertz. Both are HDR10 plus with a 16:10 screen ratio. However, the S7 Plus has a 2800 by 1752 screen resolution, whereas the Fan Edition is 2560 by 1600. So a little bit of a bump here in specs for the S7 Plus. We already talked about the speakers when we did the comparison early in the video. However, I did want to mention that they are both Dolby Atmos. When it comes to storage, the base model of the S7 Plus is 128 gigs. You can also get 256, 512, or 1 terabyte. On the other hand, the fan edition only has 64 as the base, 128, and then goes up to 256. Keep in mind you can get an SD card for 1 terabyte of storage if you'd like for both of these. As far as the battery size, it's 10,090 milliamps. These also charge wired 45 watts, so if you have a 45 watt power brick, you can charge it. The S7 Plus comes with a fingerprint scanner, also has DeX mode. The fan edition has no fingerprint scanner and also supports DeX mode. When it comes to the cameras, these both have front-facing cameras, as you can see. The S7 Plus on the left has an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. The fan edition only has a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. So let's talk about the cameras. I said we would talk about them on the back. So the S7 Plus actually has 2 cameras. It has a 13 megapixel and then it has a 5 megapixel ultra wide, whereas the fan edition only has an 8 megapixel on the back. Now, when we did the size comparison, these are very, very similar, but there are slight differences in terms of the size. I think you won't notice it, but the S7 Plus is 185 by 285 by 5.7 millimeters, and the S7 Fan Edition is 185 by 285 by 6.3 millimeters. So slightly thicker for the Fan Edition, although in the hands I really couldn't tell. Even the weights are different. The S7 Plus is 575 grams and the Fan Edition is 608 grams. So now that we've gotten through all the specs, I mean, you can see clearly these are both very fast when you're talking about how these things perform. I do think that you can tell the difference between a 60 megahertz screen and a 120. That's probably one of the reasons I would pick the S7 Plus if I was buying. But for $100 cheaper, the Fan Edition is a hell of a bargain, and it's not very far behind in terms of things that it can do. There are differences with the processor, there are differences with the RAM, with the storage. However, I feel like in the real world, these are both very similar, and it's gonna come down to whether you wanna pay the $529 price tag or the $429 price tag. And keep in mind, those are the base models, so these can go really high and get really expensive. So it's really up to you, depending on what you want from a tablet. If you're willing to take a little bit of concessions and save some money, the Fan Edition may be for you. But if you really like everything, all the bells and whistles, the S7 Plus is for you. Shout out to everybody rocking me on Instagram, YouTube, the Anchor app. You can also find me on Spotify, as well as Apple and Google Podcasts. And now I'm on TikTok. It's your boy Pat. Peace. Catch you on the next one.